Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo. What day is it? Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time to talk a little AEW Dynamite. I'm taking the sweater off. Yeah, because I'm excited. Are you excited? Are you? Let's check in the chat, see if everybody's excited, huh? Robert should be here in a little bit, actually, so don't worry. Jeff Henninger says, Hello, R&I. I'm so excited to be back live after missing the show Monday. Excited to have you back, Jeff Henninger. Excited to have you back. Dre Hohen says, It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Yes, indeed, you do. We're going to talk some Dynamite. I'm trying to move this so you don't see my just blank screen of a television back here, but hello. Hello, everybody. Yes, we're here. It's a Wednesday, and we got some good stuff to talk about when it comes to AEW in a lot of ways. Good stuff, meaning newsworthy things, I think I will say. Let me say that much. I might try to wait until Robert gets here to talk about some of this. Don't know if people have seen. Willie Mack has been on social media and making his case of to why he's being underutilized and like kind of languishing in nothing. If you're not aware, Willie Mack is signed by AEW, works with ROH too, but has not been booked and at all. So he took his grievances to X and happened to make some comments regarding this. I'm gonna pull his account up here and see what I can find. Wait, you know what, Willie Mack? What is your account here? Here it is. Oh, lost it. There it is. Found it. Okay, so this is what he's been saying. He posts some cool animal videos. Okay, when your boy is about to become a homeless superhero because the booker. Ooh, we got Robert here. Robert, what's up, man?
Hey,
Hey, happy Wednesday, my dude.
I'm hearing myself here.
Oh, I know why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Not anymore, you aren't.
There we go. I don't quite know what was going on as I was queuing up on my phone and saw you taking your sweatshirt off.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of show you think we're doing here.
Well, I was getting ready for a Blue Chew ad and just getting ready because I'm so excited, Robert. You know why? You know why, don't you?
No,
Come
I
on.
don't. Why are we excited? We
Oh,
excited
well, it's a
because it's
Wednesday.
another episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
It's a Wednesday, man, and
So excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
yeah, lots to be excited about. You know who's not excited is Willie Mack, Robert. Have you seen what's been going on X?
No, I haven't seen anything with anything. This is my first wrestling related interaction for the day.
Wow, this is a late wrestling interaction, huh? Hmm?
It's been nice. Well, it's also April Fool's Day, and this is one of those days where I genuinely have no patience for any of that nonsense. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need to go on social media and deal with any of this garbage. But what's going on with Willie Mack?
So, if you aren't aware, Robert, Willie Mack is signed by AEW. He's under contract with them, AEW and ROH. Apparently, he hasn't been utilized at all. Granted, we don't watch Collision, we don't watch ROH, so we don't know if he's on there. But apparently, he's not.
This is like the world where I found out that Angelico is still part of AEW.
Yes, it is, right? So Willie went on X and said yesterday, when your boy is about to become a homeless superhero because the booker doesn't think he's worth the money. And then he put hashtag we're the best wrestle. Then he followed up, it's like for 2 years straight, I'll call every week and ask if you got anything for me. You signed right? You still getting paid right? I want to wrestle. So this has been a kind of an ongoing thing with certain talents in AEW. Butcher from Butcher and the Blade has kind of been like, I'm taking bookings. I want to wrestle. We've seen this before with Deonna Purrazzo. There's been several names that's been going on. John Morrison has mentioned too that like you're not on the AEW island, meaning like you're not part of the group there, and it's kind of just outside looking in. Seems to be a growing problem, or more so a more vocal problem with talent. What do you think of all this, Robert?
This has been something we've talked about with AEW for quite a while, which is, and I've joked about this with a lot of people in the industry, what I would give to see their actual roster.
Yeah.
At WWE, we had in the back of every script was a list of the entire available roster that included all of your Raw talent, all of your SmackDown talent, all of your legends that were contracted, all your developmental talent. So you knew at any one point in time on one single piece of paper, everyone that was in theory available to you that you could use for television. I don't know that AEW could even put something like that together. I genuinely don't know. And it's not fair to your roster because if the idea is we have all these guys that we're just warehousing that we aren't using, and yeah, they're getting paid a nominal amount. They're getting paid a minimum amount. Whereas if you're on television, you have that opportunity to earn more. It was the old Vince McMahon thing of they paid you $150 a week, but if you got on TV, you were going to get more money. If you sold merchandise, you were going to get more money. If you're on pay-per-views, if you were on house shows, you were going to generate more money. The idea was to motivate people. The talent wants to work. They want to be on TV. They want to be active contributing members of Dynamite or Collision or Ring of Honor. And if you're not using them and you're not giving them a clear directive as to how they're going to be used, then yeah, they're going to vocalize discontent and they're going to leave. And it's also not fair to other wrestling organizations that may want to use these guys and say,
Absolutely.
hey, Willie Mack, we can find a place for you in TNA. We can find a place for you over in Japan. We can find a place for you in GCW or JCW or wherever it may be.
Right. And another name too that just they announced, I think yesterday or today, Lady Frost requested a release and the AEW gave it to her. So it's
Well,
another name.
they said that they weren't going to be keeping Lady Frost, but you just have too many people with not enough television. And I've said before a number of times, having a split roster, having
Mhm.
a roster defined for Dynamite, a roster defined for Collision, a roster defined for Ring of Honor is really beneficial because then you know where you are. And we look at the WWE side, there are people who don't get utilized or utilized very often, or maybe are featured more on main event. They do occasionally pop up on TV. And if they're not, and they suddenly turn around and they get released, it's not a huge surprise. I think there's some folks on the WWE side, if you're looking at who's not part of WrestleMania, you'd say, okay, well, Otis and Tozawa are not
Mhm.
listed as part of WrestleMania. They were on television not that long ago with that situation with the Usos. We've seen Los Garzas be used on TV in some capacity, in some form or fashion. When you give someone an opportunity to be on TV and on TV consistently and contribute, you never know what's going to wind up happening, who's going to catch fire. Harley Cameron is the perfect example.
Right, absolutely it is, yeah, and, like, if you even just go back, like, just look at history and not that long from history, when WWE bought WCW, it wasn't too long afterwards, they decided to do a brand split because their roster was so bloated, and, like, how does AEW just not make sense of all that? And to your point, if you get them on certain brands, you have a certain organized level of where these people are supposed to be and if you want to use them on that show or not. And so just a simple kind of correction like that. But obviously that's not going on right now. And it's
I mean,
very
AEW, unlike WWE, allows their talent to work independent shows.
mhm,
Even at BRCW, we've been fortunate enough to feature AEW roster members.
right.
So they do have the chance to make money elsewhere, but at the same time, if I'm the butcher and I'm going to
Mhm.
take independent bookings, do I want to risk being booked somewhere or possibly get injured and then suddenly find out when Tony goes, "Oh, we have a perfect spot for Butcher. We need him next week. Oh, he's unavailable."
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know. And that idea of it being the island, AEW is a very strange sort of clicky place. They've tried to eradicate that a little bit. There was the idea of you were either in the Cody camp or you were in the Bucks and Kenny camp or you were a Tony Khan pet project or you were everyone else. There was something I saw. It was oh my gosh, I always blank on his name. Or what his name is there. The Madden. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah, yeah.
From
The Mansoor and
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
the-
they do a Twitch stream or something like that, and the names of the people that were on their Twitch stream, it was like, oh, we're bringing in Red Velvet and Chris Statlander and Billy Starks, and they're all going to appear on this show. It's like, are these people all still in AEW? Maximum
Billy
male
Starks is
models.
another one, right? It's
And
crazy. Still like a young
it's why I get so frustrated
Mhm.
with AEW, because the audience wants to take the ride with you. They want to be able to latch on to talent and feel like our investment in that time is worthwhile. When you see a talent and you like that talent, I use a perfect example. The acclaimed. The
Mhm.
acclaim were given consistent time on TV for a little while. They got over. Fans made signs for them. They bought tickets to go see them. They bought merchandise for the acclaim. The acclaim became a big deal. And then all of a sudden it just went away for no real reason. So if I've now voted with my wallet and I bought a ticket to go attend an episode of Dynamite or Collision, I bought an acclaimed T-shirt or an acclaimed action figure, and then they're just gone, I don't feel good about my purchase. You know,
No.
I brought this up at one point. There was like a billboard outside when it was an episode of Dynamite and they were brawling. I think they were somewhere in Texas, and there was a digital billboard in front of the building, and the three faces that were on it were not on the show. I believe it was Darby and Swerve and Kenny, and none of them appeared on that episode of Dynamite. And when you're financially motivated to some degree to make sure that your paying audience is going to continue to pay, you have to think about those kinds of things. I remember years ago WWE had a house show at the arena that I was working at, and when they found out that the talent that was originally scheduled for it was changed out, they sent us a new poster. Like
Yeah.
that day, it was someone was injured and they were replacing the headliner with Roman Reigns, and this was like 2013, 14 Roman Reigns, so not like, or maybe 15. But they were like, we want to make sure right away we're advertising who we're advertising. And
Right.
as fans, you want to be able to kind of take that journey and not feel like, hey, where's so and so? Why is so and so just not on TV? Even with Mercedes Monet, who I know is going around the world like losing her title week
Yeah.
after week after week. I get where Willie Mack's coming from, and it's like he's going to make some noise, and people are going to turn around and go, "Oh yeah." The craziest one was when Scott brought up to me that Jack Evans is still part of the AEW roster.
What? Is he?
You're not doing these guys any favors by keeping them on the roster when they don't have an opportunity to really grow and expand elsewhere. And subconscious or not, the belief is if someone's not being used on TV, maybe they're not that good, which we know is not the case, but audiences are going to think that way.
Well, too, it's like when AEW first launched off, obviously you had some notable stars from a Cody Rhodes and a Chris Jericho and Young Bucks even, but you get like these up and comers that you're kind of excited and intrigued about, like MJF on a higher level, Darby Allin. But then on top of it, you have these side characters like a Butcher and the Blade, or you have like yeah, you mentioned it, the Acclaim or Top Flight or anything like that, and you want to be invested. You want to like put your chips behind these guys because you think that maybe something will come with these people, and you can get excited for a product with new characters and some exciting stories, and then boom, it's just gone. Devin Dowling mentions too that Billy Starks and Deonna Purrazzo main evented ROH
Yeah.
apparently, and like, but that's the thing.
Which I know because so Deonna Purrazzo was Gianna Perrazzo was actually supposed to participate in an event that I was working with, and then found out at the last minute, hey, she's going to be needed for a Ring of Honor show,
Oh,
and it was like, well, that kind of stinks. Wrestling Old Head says it right there. It's like Griff Garrison is floating around somewhere with number 10 from the Dark Order, and then Devin Dowling came in saying it was Preston Vance.
yes.
These guys are on the run. The Dark Order is still under contract with AEW. And then what's funny is if any of those guys do get let go or they announce they're leaving, there's going to be an uproar. What do you
Mhm.
mean we're cutting loose Allen Angels?
He's gone.
I know, but it's like
Yeah.
let those guys go and make a name for themselves. Do something if you're not planning on utilizing them, or if you have a strategy of we're going to be expanding our TV, we're going to be moving to 3 hours. They when they were doing dark and dark elevation, I get why you're like, yeah, we need to make sure we have Serpentico. We need to have Nyla Rose under contract. You don't have any additional TV. And if you're
Mhm.
not going to add additional TV, what are you doing? And what are they doing with Ring of Honor? It's continually confusing in a world where I don't think people would be terribly upset if there was more content.
Right. I mean, the nice thing about Dark and Dark Elevation was the fact that you did still get familiarized with this talent. Like it was easy accessible, obviously on YouTube, so you can just watch it. And like if needed be, then you can pull them out of the bullpen and bring them on to Dynamite if it makes sense. And you're already associated with that person, and they've already kind of have a little bit of a history if you're well aware of it more so. But the fact even that like ROH is so secluded, Collision's just basically kind of forgotten about. Like people do tune in, but it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. It doesn't. Everything is just feels like a huge mess.
I mean, I've been yelling for years that they need some sort of developmental system so that we can follow. I mean, Wrestling All Head says it right there. So they
Yeah.
need a developmental system. Most of the wrestlers were brought up are fairly young and need help finding a character the audience can latch onto. You look at Kevin Knight
Yeah.
is a dude who it's like he came out of nowhere.
Mhm.
They put him on TV. They gave him a little bit of steam. You see him week in, week out. He gets over. It's not terribly difficult. Like there's a pretty straightforward solution for a lot of this. And the audience is always hungry for new and different. The saving grace over in WWE right now is a combination of Trick Williams, Obafemi, Javon Evans, and Braun Breaker.
Right. You get some new characters in there, and like they make them feel valuable. Like the perfect example, Trick Williams is somebody that like they launched in and kind of put in the main event aspect or scope of things because he was dealing with Randy Orton and all that stuff, and Obafemi obviously. So it's just put him in the right position. It's not a lot that hard. It's not that hard to kind of get these guys over if they have charisma, personality, and a good move set. It's that simple.
By the way, Dre Owens is a monster for suggesting that Kevin Knight needs to turn on Speedball.
No,
They're a delightful duo. Why would you do that to them?
is that their name? Delightful duo.
No, I'm not even going to make a joke on it. We're moving on. There is a Dynamite tonight,
Yes.
and I'm sure there's a lot of great things signed because their pay-per-view is coming up. Correct?
It's right around the bend here, Robert. As a matter of fact, I believe it's like, is it 10 days? I don't know. But MJF and Kenny Omega, they're having a contract signing for the AEW World Championship match at AEW Dynasty.
Dynasty is
Cool.
here. Dynasty is April 12th.
April 12th. Okay. So
Did a little bit of the Google machine.
sweet. I didn't know that existed.
You didn't know that April 12th existed?
I didn't
Just
know
go
Google.
straight from April 11th to April 13th.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. It's right. Just skip it. Like February 28th or 29th. Leap year. So you like contract signings, Robert? You're a lawyer.
Love contract signings, and you know what? You know what? The best thing to do is whenever you're doing a legal contract signing, have it held open in the public. I always insist on a no physicality rule whenever I'm doing a contract signing, and Tony Khan, following my lead, setting up a contract signing with no physicality.
Boy. How big of a trope is contract signings? I'm kind of over. I mean, we've had them for years. I know it's kind of been a part embedded into the fabric of current wrestling, but we don't need them. I think we can come up with something different at this point, right?
I think it's fine just because they don't have much time and they don't want to run into a situation where Kenny and MJF touch. So doing a contract signing where, if you hit me, you're going to lose your shot. And then he's going to be able to antagonize Kenny and say things to him to kind of poke and prod.
Yes.
Warner Breeze asks if I ever had a contract signing with someone going through a table. No, though I did have one at one point that ultimately involved a firearm, but that's a different story for a different time.
I think I'm aware of that one.
It was a non-wrestling thing.
Okay.
Many years ago, non-wrestling, insane story. Not part of the rumor and innuendo.
Innuendo Ecoscape. Hey, something that is Will Ospreay. He's taking on Pac. They've been teasing this for a couple weeks, Robert. Are you excited for this one?
Match is going to be great. Pac's one of those dudes who, again, appears and then vanishes for like 3 months at a time. So I'm going to assume something will happen with his eye. Something always happens to his eye.
My eye. Kenny Omega, Brody King. Hey, Kenny's not only signing a contract, apparently he's in action. He's tagging up with Brody King and Jack Perry. They're going up against the Demand. That's Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. All
Seriously?
right, Robert. Yes.
They're having Kenny Omega wrestle.
Yes,
So I
they're
just got done putting over. It's really great that they're doing this no physicality thing, and it's a way to preserve Kenny since he's almost 100%, but he's not 100%. So you're going to have him wrestle in a 6-man tag that has nothing to do with his world title shot.
Zilch doesn't, for no reason. There's no reason he should be in this match. Yes. And then we have, hey, if you wanted another trios match, Robert, fear not. We got another one going down. It's Mina Shirakawa. It's Jamie Hayter. It's Alex Windsor. They're teaming up to go against the Triangle of Madness. That's right. Thekla and your favorite, the Sisters of Sin.
I can't wait to hear their promo.
Me too.
The Fools of April. Not on the first. You think you're the best, but you're really the line worst. Oh man, so excited to see this 6-woman tag, and not at all because it means that when I watch this tomorrow morning, that I'll be able to watch it at double speed.
Oh yes,
which I figured out how to do. What a lifesaver! I don't have to hear Excalibur.
Hey, did you see MJF was riding a horse?
There are certain phrases that when you hear it, like I feel like blood's about to start pouring out of my nose as my mind tries to compute. Why would I have seen that MJF was was riding a horse?
Well, he posted on social media. It was heading to Canada, apparently on horseback, shirtless, nonetheless, like Putin. That's real too.
Dom, there's other news. We got like 5 minutes left. Let's plow through this
sure.
here.
So we'll save the Tony Khan Vince Russo for another time. How about Braun Breaker?
Bro, we could team up and we're going to change the landscape. We're like gardeners. I got a leaf blower. You could get a riding mower and we changed the landscape.
How do you think Robert, how do you think they'd pair up, Vince and Tony?
The amount of Colombian-based substances that would be involved in this, I can only imagine what that would be. The only reason I take any comfort in this whatsoever is Tony Khan's not going to listen to anybody, so he ain't going to listen to Russo. He's got a lot of incredibly smart people who work at AEW that he willfully and openly seems to ignore. So bringing Russo in ain't exactly going to solve it.
Would you be up for a Juggalo invasion, though, in AEW?
No, you know how big of a fan I am of the Juggalos and how big a fan they are of me. I've never gotten any negative comments ever directed at me from a Juggalo. Whoop, 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 whoop. Isn't that what they say? Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
Is it a T or a P at the end? Whoop.
A P.
Whoop. Love it. Who doesn't love the Insane Clown Posse? Of all the members of the Oddities, I was more of a fan of when JC Ice and Wolfie D were part of the Nation of Domination.
Wow, that was something.
Yes.
I like Golga. Golga was great. And I didn't know it was Earthquake until a while ago.
It's amazing you don't fall down more.
I fall down a lot.
But, look, I'll believe that when I see it. But sometimes some of these wrestling journalists strain credibility and they spout stories that don't at all sound remotely true.
Is that a segue into something I'm missing?
The other story that you have on the
Oh,
Jesus, Mary and Joseph,
I forgot
or
where
three
the Tom
names.
Wilkerson came from. But yes, according to your friend Dave Meltzer, the Rollins Paul Heyman storyline over recent weeks was always designed to set up Gunther choking Rollins out at Madison Square Garden. Why do I have that? I don't know.
Why do you have that? Because we're playing. Dave Meltzer invented a story.
Yeah.
Look, kids, if you believe for a second, for a half a second, that the plan was always Seth Rollins and Gunther, then you also believe that Dom is 6'4", has a full head of hair, and that his interview with Bret Hart did not get oversized, outsized coverage. Why is it all over the internet, dude?
It's all over. It's all over the place.
Like, you didn't uncover, like, he didn't bury Jimmy Hoffa somewhere.
No.
It was, I'm not taking a razor's edge, which good for him. And bad news deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yes. But the whole Razor thing just blew up because it was like, oh, he's taking a dig at Scott Hall, and he wasn't. He was basically saying like how they grew to respect each other later on after the match, and had another match, and it was good too. So
I don't know. I heard that Brett and Dom were in cahoots, and that they were planning on assassinating the reputation of Scott Hall.
Hey, but did you know Breaker was
Brian, have you heard this? That's crazy. I turned him into Leno at the end, and that's because Leno is my default voice whenever I do Mike Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen this? Have you watched? Look at this house show card from 1994. He did send that to me earlier. It was a random house show from my birthday where the main event was Diesel versus Bob Backlund.
That's actually a great main event for you back then.
It also had Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya versus the Brooklyn Brawler.
He was around in '94.
Brawler is forever.
No,
always.
I mean Portuguese Man of War.
Portuguese Man of War.
Wow.
This Meltzer story is so bizarre. And again, it feels like he's telling the story to be like, no, their storytelling going into Mania is really this bad. This was always the plan. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. They weren't pushing the panic button. I don't buy that for a second, because they would have absolutely found a way to utilize Gunther elsewhere.
How couldn't you? Dressing Old Head says Jason Powell and Dave Meltzer sound identical. It's wild. Jason Powell has a great voice.
I don't know who Jason Powell was.
From ProWrestling.net.
Please don't make that noise. I guess I don't hear him. Look, I enjoy this show. I get sucked into some of the Conrad verse shows. So Jim Ross always being angry about having to do a podcast is some of my favorite things ever. The random ones when Bruce does show up, or then he's filled in with JBL, used to be fine, except they started doing these like curtain jerking from the territory. The audio on it is so poor. They need you in as a producer. I was wrapping this up. Fear not, folks.
Yes.
Because if you like Dom as a producer, or as a host, or as the man who is single-handedly bringing down the reputation of Razor Ramon, then you can catch us on a plethora of platforms every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, including on the WWE Creative _ish X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, the @SE Scoops X account, and on the YouTube on Podcast Heat and Studio One Sports. So on behalf of the man who clearly hates his own cat, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Can I take my second shirt off? I'm going to do it. Here it comes.
Shh.